Welcome in. It's so good to see so many familiar faces, and there are some new people here as well. Welcome in. Thank you guys so much for letting me be a part of your Saturday. My name is Sara Lovecraft. I am a designer for Beadalon, and I do a lot of wire work, but today we're actually going to be doing some knotting. This is probably my second favorite kind of technique to use in jewelry making. So we're going to put together some really cool, simple earrings. I'm going to show you step by step how to do a square knot, and then hopefully you're going to be able to take that and run with it and create some really cool designs on your own. Let's see, before we get started, I am using the tying station. I want to show it to you this direction before we turn the camera around, just because sometimes it's hard to see the entire thing, but I want to show it to you here just so you can get a good look at it before we get started. It is a little bit longer than the screen that I have, so sometimes it's hard to see. But the tying station has two ends on it. That one end is adjustable. I'm going to show you that in just a few minutes, but you're going to secure your work to this. And then you've got this handy ruler on the side here so that you can keep up with the measurements of your work. However, we're going to use this a little bit different than some of the previous projects where I have used the tying station. So the measuring is really not going to come into play with this one. But I'm going to show you something that show you a way to use your tying station that maybe you have not used before. All right, so I'm going to turn you around. We're going to talk about beads. We're going to talk about other materials, and then we're going to get started. All right, so I showed you the tying station, of course. Now I'm going to show you the sample of the earrings that we're going to make. So we're going to do some macrame here. We're going to be doing some square knotting. And this is either one of the knots that is really easy for people or one of the knots that people get really hung up on. There doesn't really seem to be any middle ground with this. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to walk you through this step by step in a way that is really going to kind of demystify the square knot and make it so that you can use it and you'll be more confident when you try it. So this is the earring. There's only about 9 knots that we're actually going to make, and then a couple of overhanded knots at the bottom. So this is going to be a pretty quick project. I think this class will go by pretty quickly. You're going to be using some of these amazing beads. So for not all of my Michaels classes, but for most of my Michaels classes, if you've taken a class with me before, you know how I feel about the cards with the multi-strands on them, particularly the ones that have more than one size on them. I absolutely love them. I feel like this is just a really cost-effective way to build up your bead stash, because as you can see, we only use a handful of these beads for this project, which leaves me with a ton more for other things. So I can make a matching necklace, I can make a matching bracelet, probably make a couple more pairs of earrings. So I've got a ton of beads here just from one card. These are the Sapphire AB glass. We're going to be using the smallest ones, and then this step up, which I believe is an 8mm. Let me double check just so that you can know for sure. Yeah, so we're going to use the 8mm beads and the 4mm beads on this card. However, if you don't want to use these, you don't like this color, there is a ton of beads from Michaels that you can choose from that are going to work for this project. They don't even have to be round. You could use cubes for this. You could use bicones for this. So it's really up to you. All right, so those are the beads that we're going to be using. As far as our knotting material is concerned, we're using some B-Lon. This is a nylon cord that is made by Beadalon, and it comes in a pack of 3. I'm using this silver color or gray color for our project today. However, you can buy this in any color that you want, and you can make it match your beads. You're going to need an ear wire and then a couple of jump rings, and that's pretty much it. Just your standard tools, a lighter or some glue, and some scissors, and that's pretty much all you're going to need. This is, like I said, this is a pretty quick and easy project that doesn't use a whole lot of materials, which is really the best way to do things, if you ask me, particularly if you are getting ready for some events coming up for the holidays, some craft booths. You really want to kind of be mindful of how you're using your materials. So this is a great project. All right, so on your tying station, before we get started, I want to show you. So if you've used the tying station before, you're pretty familiar with it. For those of you who are not, like I said, it's an acrylic plate. It's got a measurement here on the side. You can unscrew the top here and attach your work to it. So if I take the wing nut and the washer all the way off, I can take this acrylic plate off, and then I can hook my work to the peg here and then put all of this back on, and it's going to keep it secure. You also have the ability to secure the bottom of your work. This is great for keeping your hands free, right? If you're working on a bracelet, you can attach the bottom, you can do your knotting around it. Since we're doing earrings, we don't need all of that space, but we are going to be utilizing a little bit of it. And you can see the bottom will slide up and down to accommodate the length of your work. Something that you may have noticed about your tying station, though, that a lot of people ask about is the holes in the acrylic plate. Like, what are those holes for? We're actually going to use these in our projects today. So before we get started, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and set the tying station the way that I want it. So normally when you're working with it, with this acrylic plate facing this direction. We actually want to take it and turn it, and we want to kind of, it's going to sit at sort of an angle. What you want is that bottom loop or that bottom hole right there to be in the center of this open space here. We're going to attach our earring here, and that's how we're going to secure this to the tying station. So turn it at an angle, and then you just want to go ahead and tighten it down so that's not going to move. And then you're good to go. Okay, so we're going to attach right here. So to do that, let's get started here. We're going to take our ear wire, whether you're using an ear wire like this one or the Dapped ear wires that are like the little hook, it doesn't make any difference. Any ear wire that you want to use will work. And we're going to take 2 jump rings here. So I'm going to take a little jump ring, and I'm going to thread another jump ring onto this one. And then before I do that, so you want to use like ideally some 4mm jump rings. You could use 6, but it's going to add extra length to your design. And then I'm going to close that back. So that's attached to our ear wire. We've got 2 jump rings on our ear wire. Okay. Now I'm going to take this ear wire and open it up, or if you're just using a hook, you don't have to open it up. And I'm going to thread that through that hole on the tying station plate and close it back. Now that's secure. Okay, so that's gonna secure the top of our project. Now you want to cut 2 pieces of your B-Lon. You want 24-inch pieces. So go ahead and cut 2 24-inch pieces. One of those pieces, we want to take it and we want to thread it through that bottom jump ring. And we want to find the middle. So I'm just going to bring my 2 ends together. And that's going to center our cord here on our earring. Okay, now we're going to take 3 of those 8mm beads, and we're going to thread those on to both cords. So you may have to finesse a little bit, but both cords will fit through your beads. Now, if you've chosen to use gemstone beads, they may have a smaller drill hole. You may have a harder time getting both ends of your cord through them. So you may need to use a bead reamer, but for most glass beads and check beads, the drill hole will accommodate both strands. Okay, so we're going to take those beads, we're going to slide those up, and then we're going to come down here to the bottom of the tying station, and we are going to secure the bottom of our work. And I'm just going to slightly unscrew this just enough so that I can slide this cord between the 2 plates. You can slide this up if you want to. It really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. You definitely don't need the entire length of your tying station here, but then you just want to tighten it back down. And you can see that's going to secure your work so that you've got both hands free, right? And you've got a nice tight core here. All right, so with your other piece of nylon cord that you have cut, we want to take it and go behind the 2 cords that are attached to our tying station. And again, you want to find the center. So you want to take your 2 ends, bring those together, and just pull until you have that cord centered behind the 2 core cords. All right, now we're going to do our first square knot. The first square knot is always the trickiest because it's the one that's not secured to anything. So sometimes it's a little, it makes you feel like you've got butterfingers here. It's a little wonky at first, but once you get the first knot done, you're good to go. The square knot happens in 2 steps. You got to do both steps in order to create the entire knot. If you only do one side, you're going to end up with a spiral knot. And that's not what we want for our project. We want to do a nice flat square knot. So we're going to take our right-handed cord here and we want to create a P shape. And that P shape with the right-handed cord, we want it to be going over the top of these 2 core cords. Okay, so P shape, it's running over the top, and now it's coming out this direction over here to the left. With our left-handed cord, we want to cross over the top of that cord, so you can see it's laying across the top, but then we want to take it and go behind the core and up through that P shape and then pull. That's the first step. Okay. The second step of this knot is the exact same steps, but it's on the opposite side. Also, you can go ahead and slide this up if you want to. So I'm sliding it up here next to my jump rings. It's not right at the jump rings, but it's pretty darn close. Okay. All right. So the second step, we're making that backwards P shape, and the cord is going over the top, right? Out here to the right, we're going to take the right-handed cord. You want to be sure it crosses over that left cord that's now running out here to the right, and then go behind and up through that backwards P shape and pull. Those two steps are what is going to give you your square knot. So you can see it up close, what it looks like here. Okay. 2 steps. You got to do it on the right and you got to do it on the left. Now, let me tell you something that maybe you didn't know. Doesn't matter which side you start on. You actually can start on the left, do the left first and then the right, or the right first and do the left. That part doesn't matter nearly as much as just making sure that you do both sides. Because again, if you just do the right side and then do the right side again, then you are going to end up with a spiral. Okay. All right, so we've got 1 knot down. We want to do 2 more before we start incorporating our beads. So again, we're going to walk through this nice and slow. We're going to take the right-handed cord and we're going to make a P shape. That P shape is going to go over the top of our center cords, right? It's running out here to the left now. We're going to take the left-handed cord, make sure that it is crossing over the top of that cord that we have going out here to the side now. And then you want to go behind the core and up through that P shape. Now you can see why it's important to have your work secured. So you got all of your fingers to do all the work here. And then you're going to pull. That's the first step. Okay. Now you're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to start on the left. So our P shape is backwards, but still running over the center of the core. Taking that right cord, make sure it crosses over that cord. And then we go behind and up through that backwards P shape and pull. That's the second step. So you can see now we've got 2 square knots. Now, if you're interested in how to count your knots, let's say you have to get up in the middle of your work and you got to go do something and you come back and you either can't remember which side you stopped on or you need to know how many knots you've got. So because I start on the right side, I count the bumps on the right. So see how you've got a little bump of the nylon here? That's 1 full knot. Then you've got a second bump. That's a second full knot. Where you've got your bump, if your cord is exiting out a bump, that means that you are ready to start again on the right side if that's where you started, or on the left. I'm just going to say on the right because that's the way I always do it, right? So if you've got a complete bump, you're ready to start over again to do a brand new knot. If you have your cord here and you don't have a complete knot, let me show you. Okay. So we're going to do just the right side and then I'll show you what it looks like. So left cord goes behind and up through. Whoops. Pull. Now, when you're looking at it, you can see how I don't have a bump here, right? I have 1, 2, and then my cord is coming out, but there's not a bump. That tells me that I stopped over here on, I did the right side, but I haven't done the left side yet because there's not a bump. So I'm only halfway through that knot. So left side makes your backwards P shape, right cord goes over that, behind and up through and pull. Now we've got that third bump and you can see 1, 2, 3. That's how we count our knots. And that's how I know that I completed the last step. Okay. All right. So you've got 3 knots. Now we're ready to take a bead. Remember, we've got our beads down here that are secured. We're going to take a bead and just slide it up, right up next to the last knot that you made. And then we're going to proceed with our knot just like we would if the bead didn't exist. So we're going to take our right-handed cord and make our P shape. Okay. And again, going over the center. Okay. Our left cord, we're going across that cord, and then we're going behind and up through. And then when we pull, we're going to pull up against that bead, and you can see how it frames the bead on either side. Now we need to set that and make sure that it stays in place by completing the knot. So we've still got to do that left-handed knot, or the left-handed step. So backwards P shape, right cord crosses that, goes behind and up through. And when we pull, that's the second step of that knot, and it has set that bead in place. It's not going anywhere. Okay, we're going to slide up another bead, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So right-handed cord, left-handed cord crosses over that, goes behind and up through, and pull. We're doing the left side, backwards P shape, the right cord, across, behind, and up through, and pull. Now we've got 2 beads, and we're ready to pull up our last bead. Same thing, right-handed cord. So making our P shape, left-handed cord crosses over that, goes behind and up through, and pull. And then we need to do the second step of that. So our backwards P shape on the left, across, behind, up through, and pull. Now we have 3 beads secured in our work. Now you can see if you were going to do a bracelet, you would just keep going, right? But we're only doing earrings, so we only want 3 beads. However, you wanted to do an entire bracelet and you wanted to do all beads, you just keep going, sliding up a bead and doing your knot, sliding up a bead and doing a knot, or you can slide up a bead and do 2 or 3 knots between them if you want to. That's a good look as well. You've got a lot of options here with square knots. Something else that you may not know about square knots is that we've only added beads to the core here. However, if you wanted to, you could actually add beads to this cords that you're knotting with. You could put some 4mm beads on here, or you could put some seed beads and have beads going around your core bead, right? So you've got a lot of options. That's why knots are so cool, because there are usually a lot of cords involved, and there's always an opportunity to add a bead to a cord, which is always really cool. It changes up the entire look. All right, so since we started with 3 knots, 1, 2, 3, we want to finish with 3 knots. One of those knots has already been completed. That's the one that is securing our last bead here. So we want to do 2 more knots, and we don't want to add any beads to these. So we're going to just do our right-handed P shape, left cord, behind, and up through. And then the left side is that backwards P shape. Right cord goes behind and up through. If you guys will give me just a second, my iPad has come unplugged. Hold on just a second. I don't want to lose you guys. So give me just a second to plug back in so that we don't accidentally lose power here. All right, we're good now. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we're going to do 1 more knot. Okay, so our P shape on the right. Left side goes behind and up through and pull. And then the left side, backwards P shape, behind and pull. Okay, so we've got 3 full knots. There are the bumps, 1, 2, 3, and we've got our 3 at the top, right? Okay, so now we're going to take this off of the tying station. So I'm gonna come down here to the end. I'm gonna loosen this up and just pull my cords out from behind the acrylic plate. I don't have to take it all the way off. And I'm going to take my earring off. And I'm going to set my tying station to the side because we don't need it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my earring and I'm going to flip it over here to the back. And I'm going to take those 2 cords that I was knotting with. And I'm going to take those 2 cords and I'm going to tie an overhanded knot on the back. So nothing hard here, just a crisscross overhanded knot. And I'm just going to pull that down, and I'm going to pull that down so that it is on the back of those square knots that we just made. And I want to pull it down pretty tight. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to trim these off, and I'm going to trim them, leaving myself just a tiny, tiny bit. Now, if you're not going to use a lighter here and you want to use some glue, this is your time to do that. You might want to take some of the GS Hypo Cement. I'll show you what it looks like. Mine has seen better days, but you do get an idea of what it is. So this is the GS Hypo Cement. It's got a little pinpoint precision tip. You can use it and put that glue right on that knot. You can do it even if you are going to use a lighter. It really makes no difference. A little bit of glue never hurt anything. However, because this is nylon cord, we can melt it. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to use a lighter, and we are very carefully going to heat up that cord until it melts into a little ball. And then we're just going to mush it with our finger. And that's going to secure our knots. So we did that one. Let's do the other one. Just be careful. Don't burn yourself. And you don't want to set your cord on fire either. Okay, that's going to secure your knot. Now that wad of melted nylon is actually going to keep it from slipping through, and you've got a nice secure knot. When you turn it over here on the front, you really don't see it. If you need to clean it up a little bit more, you can. Just be careful. I have a tendency to get mine a little too hot. And sometimes I've set the full earring on fire. So, see, and I melted through that cord. Okay, that's okay. We've still got one cord. You got to be careful, okay? Do as I say, not as I do. That's embarrassing. Okay, so we're only gonna have one dangle on this one, but look, we have 2 dangles on the original. Please don't melt off your second cord. And again, use glue if you feel like you're gonna end up with the same problem that I had. That's okay. It's all right. No problem. So we're gonna take the cord that is some of you are laughing in the comments. That makes me feel good, right? I mean, we're all human. Just keeping it real here on our Michael's classes today. So we're gonna take our leftover cord, right? And we're gonna take 3 of the small 4mm beads and we're gonna thread those on. That's too funny. At least you guys have a sense of humor too, right? I never take myself too seriously. I always have to just laugh it off because stuff happens. All right. So I've thread on 3 beads. I'm going to pull these down close to my earring here, and then I'm going to tie an overhanded knot. And I want to leave a little bit of room. You can see with the original here, I have 2 dangles and they are different lengths because I just kind of like the way that looks. That was ideally where we were going with the project. Since we only have the one, we're just going to kind of decide where we want that one to hang. But I don't want it to be right up against the knots. I want it to be a little bit further down. But I'm just going to take my cord here and I'm going to tie an overhanded knot. And you can actually loop this knot through twice if you want to. That's just going to give you a little bit bigger of a knot if you're worried that your beads may slip over the knot. So basically what I mean is I'm just going to take the cord, wrap it around my fingers to make a loop. I'm going to pull it through And then I'm going to pull it through a second time, which basically just makes a surgeon's knot. Again, you don't have to do this. If you think that one knot is going to be enough, it'll be fine. But this just gives you a little bit bulkier of a knot. And then you just want to pull that and double check to make sure that it's big enough to hold your beads. Yeah, someone in the comments mentioned using the thread zapper instead of a lighter. You absolutely can use a thread zapper for this if you want to melt your cord. It works. You just have to be very careful not to get the cord melted onto the thread zapper metal, because once you do that, then it is nearly impossible to clean it off. All right, so we've just got one dangle on this earring. It's a little long, right? But that is the steps that you would follow if you still had your two ends. You would repeat those steps on the second one and then tie a knot and then just trim off, and you've got yourself your little dangles here. So we've got a really cute little pair of macrame earrings. This one, not so much, but the good news is that I still have I still have one more, and I'm actually going to transfer just so that I have a full set of earrings here. I'm going to transfer. We're going to pretend really quickly that we didn't mess up, and we did, in fact, create an exact match to the sample that we had. Ta-da, magic of TV. Dear Michaels, just edit out. Right. So there you go. You've got a cute little pair of earrings, guys. And again, it doesn't use a whole lot of materials here. We've used a total of 4 jump rings, 2 ear wires. The rest of this was just beads. You used 6 of your larger beads and 12 of your smaller beads, and you've still got a ton of beads left over for more projects. And you've got a cute little trendy pair of earrings. I know a lot of you maybe shy away from macrame because it reminds you of the 70s, but I got to tell you, macrame is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And it is a really cool way to mix up your jewelry making. If you get bored with stringing and maybe wire is not your thing, then try some knots. Square knots is a great place to start. They're easy once you learn them. And then from there, it's really kind of a springboard into some other really creative knots. And again, like I said before, it's always gives you cord to add beads to. And that's my favorite part, at least, of jewelry making, is all of the beads and the sparklies. All right, so I'm going to turn you guys around. I'm going to show you what these look like hanging, and then I'm going to let you guys go so that you can enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you letting me be a part of your Saturday, even with my melting through my cord. I'll show you. These are really lightweight. That's another great thing about these earrings, is because they're made out of that nylon cord. They're not heavy at all. And if you're mindful of what beads you pick out, they won't be heavy either. You just want to be sure about that. But they're just really cute, fun, kind of beachy. But definitely, if you changed these up with some fall colors, you could get away with wearing these all year for sure. So there you go. These are cute little earrings. Just a fun little project that I hope will inspire you to try knotting, and maybe not look at them as so 1970s anymore, right? All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining me and laughing with me this Saturday. I really appreciate it. I hope that I have inspired you, and I look forward to getting together with you guys again soon for another fun class. In the meantime, have a great time. And if you make and post, be sure you add the hashtag Michaels, or make it with Michaels and the hashtag Beadalon, so that we can all see what it is that you are creating out there. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Bye, guys.